or. Either we have to have a complete laissez-faire system, or we have to have a completely state-managed system. No. The brilliance of the United States Constitution is that it recognizes individual civil libertarians' rights, and to do so in a communitarian ethos where the big picture system of how we frame our government operates. I look at this and I think, this is brilliant. This is fantastic. This is beautiful. We should try that in this country. This would work. And I'm not even joking, because the problem, folks, is that one of the problems is when this beautiful framework is first laid out for us, the Constitution is ratified in what year? Does anybody know? 1789 is the ratification. In 1789, who got to be a person wrapping themselves in this beautiful document? You had to be a man. You had to be white. Rich. You had to be property owner. You see, the entire history of the United States can be looked at through the lens of who is a person. Who gets to actually claim the brilliance of these protections? Who gets to actually participate? Personhood is at the core of understanding how our government operates and how our society operates. In fact, I would tell you this. If you look at all of the great movements, the abolitionist movement, the civil rights movement, the trade union movement, the women's empowerment movement, at its core, it's about driving themselves into the Constitution. Howard Zinn said, one way to understand the United States history is as a series of struggles by actual human beings to be defined as persons with rights protected by our Constitution. That's how important it is. So some people might say, all right, Cobb, relax, because everybody's a person now. And now let's reintroduce the corporation. Let's remember this, folks. It takes an act of the state legislature to create a corporation, right? The state has to actually issue that charter. That charter can be used to hold the corporation subordinate and accountable. For the first 75 years of this country, corporate charters were only allowed for 5, 7, 10 years. They could only do certain very specific things to get the privilege, not the right, but the privilege of limited liability. If you want to do business, fine, but if you want the privilege of limited liability, that entity was tightly controlled. And at the end of that time period, the corporate charter automatically dissolved. And get this, not only that, but all you could ever do was the very specific thing that you had identified. You had to prove a public need that was not being met by either existing private business or by governmental action. So the charter could be used to hold it accountable. The duties were strictly proscribed of what the corporate charter could do. And get this, anytime a corporation was ever found to act outside the public interest, do you know what happened to the corporate charter? Dissolved. Corporate death penalty. It was used routinely for the first 75 years of this country. And so, folks, can you see why I would tell you that a corporation properly understood has to be on this side of the line so that we can actually control this, the most dominant institution that has ever been created? So when the U.S. Supreme Court, in an act of supreme judicial activism, take that, right wing, this is a judicially active court who creates out of whole cloth the idea that says, oh no, a corporation needs to be considered a person with rights just like you. It perverts this whole document. Corporate personhood is not just a stupid idea, which it is. Corporate personhood is not just illogical, which it is. Corporate personhood is the linchpin for how the ruling elite, and I don't mean just the wealthy, I mean the crazy, stupid wealthy, right? The 1/10 of the 1% who actually own over half of the wealth in this country, and they are using this doctrine not only to oppress us, but to legalize it. And as a lawyer, that pisses me off. Our legal system is supposed to be the place where we go for justice, to be administered impartially and fairly, no matter what your race, creed, gender, socioeconomic class. And so when the Supreme Court steals that from us, we should be angry. And yes, it's going to take a constitutional amendment because the court has stolen our Constitution from us. And they've done so using the 14th Amendment that said, no person shall be denied equal protection of the laws. I've got more to say, but I want to respect the time limit. I see the law professor looking at me. I know that means I have to be quiet. But I got more to say. Peace.